dual dire warnings have just been issued, not only by Tucker Carlson over at Fox News, but also by one of our congressional leaders. They are absolutely outraged by what transpired over this past week with the FBI's raid of Donald Trump's home there in Mar-a-Lago. And I know many of you are also upset about this. I mean, these are the most third world style, dictator style tactics that we have ever seen in U.S. history. And someone has a lot of explaining to do. But meanwhile, Tucker Carlson has a very powerful, dire warning that he just issued to the American people.
Despite superficial appearances, the raid on Mar-a-Lago was not an act of law enforcement. It was the opposite of that. It was an attack on the rule of law. It was a power grab. As Matt Booth put it recently in American Greatness, the raid on Trump's home, quote, was exactly what it looks like, a show of force against the opposition leader by the head of state and his personal bodyguards. If this happened in any other country, it would immediately be denounced as the act of a dictator, end quote. That's true, but it's hard to hear those words anyway. As an American, you don't want to believe it, and yet here are the essential facts. The same week the Biden White House announced that Joe Biden will definitely seek a second term as president, the same week, the Biden Justice Department launched an armed raid against Biden's main rival in that same presidential election. That's what happened. Pause for a minute. If the New York Times told you that something like that was going on in Chad or the Gambia, what would your reaction be? You'd probably say to yourself, thank God I don't live in a place like that, a country where politicians used armed men to cling to power. Oh, but you do live in a country like that. You do. The evidence is all around us. We just don't want to see it. This could get very bad, very fast. And the Biden people know that perfectly well. They know what could happen if they continue down this path of using law enforcement to cling to power. But they don't care because they're facing a repudiation from voters and they're desperate and they'll do anything. But at what cost? Pray they pull back before it's too late.
Tucker Carlson had a lot to say in that particular clip. For starters, he warned about the Biden administration's power grab. Not only his power grab, but the fact that they are using this raid on the former president of the United States as a show of force, a sign, if you will, to conservatives and Republicans to say, don't you go against the narrative or this is what will happen. And another point that he made, and I think this is a powerful one, is that the very same week that Joe Biden announced that, or not Joe Biden, but the White House announced that Joe Biden's going to run for a second term, that very same week, the FBI decided to raid the home of his biggest rival. I think that's not something that should ever go overlooked. And not only that, but he concludes with the fact that it's going to get bad in America. And we better pray that this kind of weaponization, if you will, of the FBI is put to a halt. But you know what? He's not the only one giving a warning. In fact, one of our congressional leaders who, unfortunately, the day after Donald Trump's raid, his cell phone got taken by the FBI. And this is on New York Post. And I already talked about this, but as a reminder, Representative Scott Perry says the FBI seized his cell phone one day after Trump's Mar-a-Lago home raid. Well, here's what he had to say to Maria on Fox News.
But Maria, what I think this is about is intimidating anyone who refuses to bend the knee to the narrative. And you know, I don't know exactly what your questions are going to be, but there's been no accountability. James Comey, the director of the FBI, used classified information improperly to get a second special counsel. No accountability for that. The chairman of the Intel Committee changed the president's speech and entered it into the record, created an impeachment trial. Again, no accountability. You name it across the board, whether it's John Eastman, whether it's Scott Perry, whether it's President Trump, and with passing a bill that will pay for hiring of 87,000 IRS agents, tyranny is going to come right into everyone's living room very, very shortly. People that bleach bit their phones and hit them with hammers, smash them with hammers, and those type of things have something to hide. People that keep the same phone a year and a half after the election aren't worried about what's on their phone. And so that's me. But apparently they want to destroy me politically. They want to destroy, like I said, anybody that doesn't bend the knee, that isn't intimidated, that isn't parroting the narrative is now subject to these kind of third world banana republic tactics politically. And that's what you're seeing is this horrific overuse, abuse of the DOJ and the instruments of federal power.
He's absolutely right. They are intimidating and harassing and going after anyone who is not bending the knee to their narrative. And the Biden administration is using his weaponized FBI and Department of Justice to do it, kind of like Gestapo Stasi tactics. I mean, this is a massive abuse of power on a scale that we have never before seen. And the congressional leader there has a very profound point, or true point, I should say. Tyranny is coming, and it's already here in the United States. He references that it's coming soon. May I suggest that it's already here with the Biden administration? That's why it's so important. Now is the time for us to prepare and get ready. Now is the time for us to prepare and get ready by going to the ballot box, making our voices heard. I don't, if you guys are one of those people, well, it doesn't matter, my vote doesn't count, get out there and do it anyway. We have to have a major show of our voices on how we feel at this midterm election and even further at the presidential election. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is Senator Rand Paul, one of my favorite senators out there, also honed in on what's going on with the FBI raid. And he's now suggesting that we should completely repeal the Espionage Act. And I don't disagree with him. Take a look here. This is on his page. Rand Paul says the Espionage Act was abused from the beginning to jail dissenters of World War I. It is long past time to repeal this erroneous affront to the First Amendment. Repeal the Espionage Act, the Future of Freedom Foundation. And here you can see Julian Assange on the front page, who I stand with. They are wrongly, in my opinion, imprisoning him. And this is one of the things that they used to go after Julian Assange. And now, of course, Biden is using it to go after, well, President Donald J. Trump, his biggest rival, by the way, in the upcoming presidential election. But I agree with Rand Paul there. Now, what I also want to say is there is some good news. We've got some movement coming from Republicans. Take a look at what House Judiciary GOP put out. Breaking. Judiciary GOP sends preservation notices to Garland to raid, to Klein, and on their unprecedented Trump raid. Now, here they are. This first one here is made to Merrick Garland, and all they're asking right now is with regard to what went on with President Biden's raid on Mar-a-Lago, or the FBI, excuse me, raid on Mar-a-Lago, Floridian slip. But anyway, they're asking them to basically preserve all the documents pertaining to President Trump's raid, referring to the decision to seek the search warrant, all communications referring and relating to the use of confidential human sources and whatnot. So not just Merrick Garland, but they also issued it here to Christopher Wray, and they also issued it here to Ronald Klein. And you can see the multiple senators here who signed off on that. And I believe there's like 14-ish to start with. There should be a lot more. But that said, I'm going to hold these Republicans to their word, because as it sits, just to preserve documents is not good enough for me. I think we need to take some action. We have a lot of rhinos within the Republican Party who are doing nothing. And so far, I don't see much movement from the Republican Party regarding these raids. I don't see much movement regarding the Republican Party regarding these IRS agents. I want promises to repeal. I want you to actually do something, some kind of laws, rules, regulations. The states need to take it into their own hands. And I've already made a whole report on that, how the states need to, make rules and laws in their states to ban the FBI from being able to come after political dissenters in their particular state. Make sure you email your governors and leaders there in your state to get the ball rolling on that, because I'm sick and tired of our Congress not doing anything. And quite frankly, I don't have much faith at this point. But that said, there are things that we can do at the local level. At least this is a step in the direction that we need to head into. But with that, please get to restrictedrepublic.com. I can't stress that enough. But get to restrictedrepublic.com. I've got some major headlines that we just put out about regarding, stuff on China, the raids, lockdowns. And this is exclusive content that you're getting. This is just a taste of some of the stuff that we do on there. But you want to get to restrictedrepublic.com and check it out today, because there's critical information that you absolutely need to see. And by the way, use the coupon code FJB to get the entire first year for $3.99 per month. I'm still offering that right now for the very first year. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I love all of you. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.